So how does it work? Like what sort of projects you're handling now?
So
how is it?
So it's the client is in healthcare. They do a lot of pharma work. So they have a pharmacy line of business, and they also have what is it called? I'm forgetting the name, but stuff to do with mental wellness. Mental wellness. I'm just forgetting what they call it, but mostly for me, I'm in the in the pharma line of business. Yeah, so basically just we healthcare. There are a couple of processes that we do. There are things to do with authorizations.
Okay.
Then there's another. There's a project also in finance, still healthcare, but under finance. And and most of ironically, most of the projects that are in the pipeline right now, they are so heavy on OCR. So that is
okay.
Yeah, very heavy on OCR. So that is
so these are all processing your scanned and PDF documents and things like that.
Exactly, yeah. Scanned PDF documents. So like at the moment they are trying to kind of do a comparison, because we had a use case that required that one of the developers felt if we utilize this document understanding feature of UiPath, it would work well. But But it happened that they were comparing that document understanding with AWS OCR, and the difference in
Amazon
pricing. Yeah.
Amazon Recognition, is it?
Yeah.
No. I think
Textract. Amazon Textract.
Yes, Amazon Text Extract. Yes. Extract. Yep.
So they are doing some comparison, and I mean the price difference is so huge. But the document understanding, it looks like it could really work well for the use case, because we are looking at PDFs that are not standardized. So we kind of have to have train the bot to understand every fax that is coming, every unique fax that is coming in. So that has been one of the projects that I've been highly involved in.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so learning a lot.
Looks like you've become much more expert now.
Yeah. At least if I'm there's so much I'm learning. So, and this client is good, unlike the other one. If I was to compare the two, this one is good. Yeah, this one is quite good. So I'm hoping.
That's great.
I'm hoping it continues to the long term.
That's great.
Yeah. So I just wanted to ask. There's something that came up yesterday. Is my connection good? You can hear me okay, right?
I can hear you absolutely fine.
Oh, okay. All right. So this is something that came up yesterday. Yeah. We have this use case that entails matching name and address from between two different systems. So we have system A and system B. We are taking the name from system A, says Sam, and Sam, my full name, and we're also taking the address, and we are looking for a match in system B. But we have this scenario where in either of the systems, a lot of times there's use of these short names and nicknames. So for example, in system A, is it will have Robert,
Uh-huh.
but in system B, they call him Bob.
Okay.
So the business wants us to see whether, they're asking whether we can have a workaround to make sure even such, such matches are also included. So if we have a short form, if it's written Sam instead of Samuel, if it's written Bob instead of Robert, we also have them included.
See, in terms of such cases, so whatever I'm trying to understand is your system A is having, so whenever you are trying to make such match, okay, like you have a name, address, your, let's say, company name or all those things, like, right, as you rightly said, that the short form of the names are also there, which might not be. So a couple of things which comes here is, first of all, you should look into the entire, let's say if you are doing a name and an address matching, I assume that this is a customer database, for example.
Correct.
Right. So in that case, very first initial task would be for you guys to identify that how many, can you just tell me what are these, so system A and system B that you're trying to compare, what are these systems? Are these systems Excel? You mean these are Excel files where, let's say, in file A you have all the customer details and you are trying to see if this customer list, or which all the customers from this file A are appearing or existing in file B? Are these Excel files or databases or applications? What is it? What is this system?
So both of them are applications. So for example,
Those are those like desktop based web applications?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Yep.
how you are getting the names in system A? So is it a web application where you have, if let's say, like if you go to any page where you have a name tab, you have an address tab, the bot will extract from there and get the name and the address and then go into another web service or a website called system B and check whether that is available, something like that?
Okay, so say from the source is system A, which is an internal application. So when you log into that system A, we have
names
that are in specific fields of the system. So you can easily copy them and go and do a search in system B, which is a web application, and it has a search field. So for instance, if I copy the name and address from field from system A, I just go and paste it in the specific fields in system B and run a search.
So system B and system A are kind of interlinked, or these are two independent systems?
They are two independent systems. So system A is an internal system for the client, and now system B is an external system.
Got it. So now the problem here is, since your A is an internal and B is an external system, so first of all, what you have to understand is how the data in your system A is coming. Okay.
No. Okay.
By that, what I mean is, what fraction of your customer name and address are in the same format of how it is appearing in your system B, because you are pulling it from system A and searching it in system B, right? So that means my system B, so I am dependent on the data or the data type, or let's say the structure of the name. If it can be first name, last name, or you just said short name. So let's say I have, right? So that means you should be able to identify. So first of all, the main thing would be to see, what fraction of your customers in the system A, let's say you have a huge database of 200 customers, okay, with the name and address. So you have to see that how much, similarity is there between system A and system B in terms of the customer details, because both being, two independent systems, both being two independent system, it might be very tough to maintain the format, because it can be unstructured, what I'm getting to understand from you. Because
Yeah.
let's say I, in one system it is written as Paul, and the other system might be it is written as only my last name, right? As you said, one system it is Robert in system A, where in system B it is Bob, but both are the same person.
But
So
both are
if
the
you
same person.
if you copy from system A Robert and search it in system B, that means which who is Bob will not appear, but someone else with the Robert name will appear.
Will appear.
Correct?
Yeah.
Right? And
So you
also
were
you.
thinking, since at least the address is always a match, because we are looking at
So which one?
two
So
data
which
items.
one? So which one is your higher probability of your matching? Is the address
The
has a
address.
higher chance? Okay,
Yes.
okay.
The address has a higher chance. But now,
Because you
even if you
should.
search with the address,
Mhm.
we also have to confirm the name. So we'll get the match address is 1234. I've searched here is 1234, correct address. Name is Robert Sam. But when you come to the name on B, it's Bob Sam. So as
Correct,
a
correct.
human, I know it's the same person.
Hmm.
But how will the bot
The,
know it's the same person?
absolutely. So first, it's all game of structuring the data here. Okay.
Okay.
So since I don't know how, how much fraction of the data, how the data is appearing in your both the systems, that's where you have to analyze. So take certain, like let's say random 50-60 sample of customer names in system A, and try to see how they're appearing in your system B.
Okay.
Okay, because you have to first understand the variance, how much it is actually differing. Okay, only then you would be able to see. So let's say if your address has a higher probability of matching compared to your name, so you can put address as the first preference, but address might not be unique, because you might have an instance where Bob is also staying at, let's say, ABC address, Sam is also staying at an ABC address,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Might be the house number is different, rest everything is matching.
It's the
So
same.
if you have a unique identifier even at the address, okay, then it becomes easy for you. But else, so what you have to do, you have to do a key pair matching, I mean two-way filter. So first you have to, if you see it, I mean for example, if you find that your address is having the most majority of the chance, so first always go and filter it with address. Okay,
Okay.
and then whatever, so let's say you have copied an address from system A, you have put it in system B, you have got 4 matching, correct? Now you copy the corresponding name from the system A and go and enter it in system B. So it's a second level filter. Then it becomes a unique match. So manually you since you also don't know the structure, you have to test it out in manual way first, as a kind of assessment, to see the variance in the two different system. Then take certain names and do a filter first with the name and then with the address. So you have to find this combination to see which combination is working for majority of these records.
Other
If your
records.
address followed by name is working, or has a percentage greater than your name and address, then you should go with address and name. And that would solely depend upon how the data is appearing in two different systems. Now, as you said, with the short names, like let's say somewhere it is Bob in system A, and in system B, they've completely written it as
It's
uh,
Robert.
Robert Wheat, Robert, Robert Whitty, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, you don't have any clue to understand that this Robert, this Bob in system A is the same person in system B. because the variance is 100% here. Right? In that case, even if your address is matching, there is certain chance that this person might be this person, but not sure. So you will, I feel that if your two systems have too much unstructured data, you might need to set up a threshold. We have something called as fuzzy match. Okay.
Fuzzy match.
So yes, so fuzzy match is a criteria which matches certain two different parameters and gives you a confidence value. Okay. So let's say I am how do I explain it to you? So let's say I have typed Sam. Let's say I have typed Donald Trump, for example. Okay, this is the name I am having in my first variable. I have got a second name. I have got let's say Donald something Donald ABCD,
Biden.
whatever. Yeah, Donald Biden, for example. Yeah. Yep. So now when I do a matching of string A and string B using a fuzzy match runs as logic to map it internally and give you a confidence value. So here if you see Donald and Donald is matching, right? Trump and Biden is not matching. So fuzzy match will tell me that, okay, your these two values are 60% similar. That means it is telling you that the confidence value of the similarity between the two string or the two names is 60%. So like this, what you can do is, and this is how we do for unstructured data. So you can do a fuzzy match logic and set up a confidence level for those cases where you have a short name. For example, your system has first taken Bob, okay? And in system B, you have entered Bob, but you did not get anything, right? So this Bob is a name which did not appear in system B. That means this is a possibility that in system A you had a short name, whereas the actual name is there in system B. So my this Bob name goes into a second level filter. I put the address for this again, right? Now with the address I am getting Robert Whitty, but the name is not matching. So in that case, you do a fuzzy match for both the name and the address of the system A with both the name and the address in the system B. That means your address will give you a fuzzy match score. Your name will give you a fuzzy match score. So here, because of the name difference, your fuzzy match score will be 0. So in some, so certain, you might require a little bit of manual intervention here. So cases where there is a conflict, okay, where your value that and that threshold you have to decide based on your business outcome. What is the date? I mean, unless I see the system, I see how the data are appearing, what is the variance, I cannot tell you a threshold, but let's say we go with 90%, okay, hypothetically. So if my fuzzy match score is 90% lesser, the bot will not process, or rather send that specific record into a queue for human validation. If the fuzzy match or a confidence level or the threshold is more than 90, or let's say 95%, then only the bot processes. So here you cannot have a straightforward solution based on how much variance is happening in two different systems. You have to decide the logic. It has to be, let's say, multiple chain wise. It might be, let's say, first factor would be, if you have to find which is your filter criteria hierarchy. Is it name followed by address is giving you a better match, or address followed by name is giving you a better match?
And then you have to decide on the the confidence factor that you're comfortable with.
Absolutely. And now let's say you, so tell me one more thing. The search from A to B, is it going to be individual search, or it is going to be a bulk search?
It's going to be individual, case by case. Yes.
Okay. So
it's a queue. B has a queue of of records. So you're working one at a time.
Okay. So you have to ask the business. So you need a little bit of domain knowledge as well. So first of all, you have to understand, you have to tell them, okay, so when you do it manually, let's say you are getting a name in called as Bob in system A, whereas when you type in Bob in system B, you either get no person or you get multiple person, right?
Yeah.
So how do they manually also verify? Is this then they go with the address from system A and put it on system B and see that whatever after adding address, what is the values they are getting? And are there chances that they get multiple records? Because once you refilter with address, you might have the same name and the same address with a little variance, you know.
Yeah.
There is a
So
so how.
manually, from my observation, what they do, they start with they start with the zip code. So the address will have a number, blah blah blah, all that stuff, and the zip code. So they first put in a zip code, which sort of filters, does some filters, because it's the system B is a sort of a website that has
I
records
got
of.
it.
Yeah.
I
So
got your point.
when you put a filter, I mean, when you put the zip code, it will make some good filtering, right? Then the next thing, after putting filtering with the zip code, they key in the address. Okay. So in the key in the address, then the names. So either you'll get the result will be one name, no name, or multiple names. So if it is one name, you're good to go. If it is multiple names, they have to, like look exactly maybe the second name, just to make sure there's a one-to-one match.
So tell me, don't they have any unique identifier to identify a customer without the name and address? Let's say, doesn't the system have any unique ID? Let's say customer ID or patient ID or whatever, or a patient number, something like that is not available in the data, which is
Yeah,
unique for every customer.
yeah. So I'm thinking because maybe they have some sort of limited access to that system B, they can only search with the name and address. That is like the only information they can view.
Okay, so since it's for the pursuit of automation, you can
Uh-huh.
bring out this point,
Uh-huh.
saying that if we have a unique identifier for every patient, the
Uh-huh.
job becomes much easier. So might
True.
be for the sake of automation, they might try to work on that you know issue of
Uh-huh.
getting you some access or something to because see, when you deal with unstructured information, these are manual validations where you need a specific logic to develop a program or a bot. Because by a human, what a human will do, human will look into a lot of 3 4 different cases. He can match the name, the address, the phone number, or for one search they can apply various filters or criterias to conclude,
Uh-huh.
right? Because your brain, it's human brain who is deciding. But for a program to understand or for a bot to do this, unless and until you have a logical step, okay, which
Yeah.
whatever you are doing manually, if that logic can be directly replicated into program, nothing like that. But sometimes it doesn't happen, because when a human does it, he or she as a domain expert will have multiple logics. He will apply his own visual, whatever he's seeing in the screen, and then decide. So all that, in that case, it becomes very tough for you to programmatically put that logic. So then
True.
you need some domain knowledge or a process knowledge, some logical step. Then
Uh-huh.
that's when you start exploring to find alternatives. That if, in that case, if I have a unique identifier, kind of a primary key or a customer ID, customer number, or a patient ID or a patient number, and I don't think any healthcare system will not have a patient ID, based on my experience, what I feel. Because every time you go to any healthcare system, you register in any hospital website, any insurance company, they generate you an unique ID, right? That
Yeah.
data should be there. Even if you go an hospital site, if you go to any website and register for a doctor's appointment, they also give you a patient ID. If you register first time in a hospital, they will give you a hospital ID. If you take an insurance, they'll give you an insurance ID, right? And that is a unique identifier. So I don't think that data will be missing, but might be, due to that access constraint, or might be they haven't used it before because they are doing this manually. But when you do an automation pursuit, you have to explore alternatives to make your
Yeah.
automation do, logic build easier.
Yeah. Actually, I think the reason as to why there's no that unique identifier is,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe I can give you a quick background of that process. So this process entails looking at physicians' help. So these physicians, doctors, and these other healthcare providers. So
Mm-hmm.
in system A, we have a record that this doctor Robert Mwiti, provided some healthcare services to a patient,
Mm-hmm.
and we want you to pay him. But
Mm-hmm.
in our record, this Robert Mwiti is not one of the registered doctors, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
don't have any more information about him. We only have his name and address.
Oh,
So
okay.
so we want to check whether this Robert Mwiti is a genuine doctor. And the only way we can check is we can only log into this, say, the insurance company's website
Mm-hmm.
and search for this doctor. But again, since it's a website,
So let's say with one
uh-huh,
name there are two doctors. Okay,
uh-huh.
in that case, what is your manual validation point?
So in currently, when they get two doctors sharing a name, they
Mm-hmm.
have another system that they use, which will sort of give information about the doctor's specialty. So for them, they deal with only physicians who do, say, radiology. So they'll
Mm-hmm.
go into a system, a separate system, like it's like a mainframe system, internal mainframe system.
Mm-hmm. I
Then
know, I know. Mm-hmm.
they will look at these names and look at the specialty. So this Robert Mwiti, say, one, what is he? Oh, this one is a pediatrician. Robert Mwiti, two, oh, this is radiology. So it must be this Robert Mwiti, two,
Right.
because
So this is what I'm trying to explain. So this is what a human does with his human intelligence,
yeah.
right? Now, if this is the defined process,
Uh-huh.
then you have to pull in your third system as well for your
Uh-huh.
bot also to verify.
Uh-huh.
So you have to understand that, okay, in some scenarios where my bot comes into a situation of two names with a different same name, I mean doctors with the same name, multiple doctors, more than one, how do I decide? So in that case, like a human is logging into a mainframe, so probably your bot also has to log into a mainframe system, take the name, okay, put it in the mainframe system and see what is the, but okay, in your system B, once you enter the doctor name and the address, does it show you the department or the profile of like pediatrician, radiology? Does your system B shows that information, which by which once they go into the mainframe, enter the name, they map it, or
Uh,
how is it?
the system B doesn't show the specialty because, like I said, it's just a website with a limited
Uh-huh.
access to
so
information. So
so right, so
the
in that
best you can
case,
get is just the name and address.
okay. So in that
So
case, even though the system goes into the bot goes into a mainframe and finds the specialty,
uh,
there's
yeah, you
no
cannot
point in
match
your
exactly. You
yes,
can
there's
say
no
it's this one.
yes, there's no parameter for extraction for available for you in your system B to validate.
Yep, that's
So
correct.
that this looks to me as a
A hard
very
one.
bottleneck. Yes,
But
yes, because
there's something that the
mhm,
client mentioned and was, the client asked maybe I can do some research on it. She
mhm.
was asking whether we can utilize some AI logic so that, every time, that just like the way as a human, I know Sam and Samuel is the same person.
No,
Robert
no.
and Bob is the same person, if we can develop an AI logic that the bot will use. And
You
they are
cannot
suggesting
develop. Mhm,
that that with that logic, so
mhm.
the bot will keep on learning, so that next time when they encounter
Yes,
Paul,
that's.
Paul, and maybe the short form, is there a short form for Paul? I don't know, I doubt. So so for example, if they meet Johnston and John, they will, the bot will
So
keep on
see,
learning.
I know, I got your point. But
Yeah.
see, doing that is we call this as a machine learning task.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want the machine to learn from your historical data that
Correct.
this person can be having a different name. So any one person, let's say, appearing with multiple names is the
Uh-huh.
same person,
Is the same
right?
person. Yeah.
Yes. So you can do it with certain machine learning models, but in that case you would need a huge amount of data.
Okay.
You would need a good amount of data which is structured to
Uh-huh.
train a machine learning model, at least to train a model on a customer database. And what you are trying to say that the machine will learn next time,
Mm-hmm.
that is again a different task. So when
Okay.
that is called something, we call it as reinforcement learning. So let's say what happens is when you are training a model. So I can, let's say, I have a simple data. Okay. I have customer name. Okay. I
Mm-hmm.
have customer name. I have two three different names. Probably I'll research on that piece.
Mm-hmm.
What you have told, that how can, what logic we can use to develop a machine learning model. But yes, it is possible. But first of all, you have to, then first thing you need to ask the client that will they be able to give you enough data to train a model. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
you need to have an access of the entire database of customer in system A and also of system B. Got it?
Yeah.
Because your system, how it is appearing system A might not be appearing in system B, right?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And system needs to learn that Bob in system A is Robert
It's Robert in
Doity
system.
in system B. So let's say
Correct.
so similar thing what we do is with images. Okay. So let's say you have the photo of Donald Trump and you have the photo of Kamala Harris.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
I give you an image.
Mm-hmm.
So first image is of Donald Trump. So you take the image, you go into system B and you put the image. Now
Mm-hmm.
how the system will know that this is Donald Trump, right? So the model gets trained on enough images. This is called as image classification. So when you take up the image and put it in another system, it detects. But here it is the name. So you there, even if you develop a machine learning model, you will need to do something called as labeling. We call it as data labeling. So you have to design a data where you have to manually label some patterns, like
Oh,
Robert Doity in system A is Bob in
is
system
Bob.
B,
Oh. In other
and
words,
the
you have to have a starting
and and vice versa. Bob in system A is
uh-huh.
Robert Beatty in system B.
System B.
So like this, yes. So machine learning can be done, but that will be again a separate task, a separate, complete separate research to have a data that is in that format so that you can train the machine and utilize it. Yes, nowadays RPA are utilizing machine learning or AI based technology, right?
Mm.
So that is one approach. So if you're talking in that direction, you have to first ask the customer, can they give you data? And also, do you have data scientists or machine learning engineers? Do you have a resource skill set to do this
Do that.
within your
Yeah.
team?
Yeah.
Right? It's not
Yeah.
just that you tell and it's gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
So
You have to have
with
the right
RPA,
person.
yes.
Uh-huh.
So with RPA, it is a little challenging task because of the variation in the data that might appear. So one way could be with the confidence level that I told you, but that also has a challenge when Robert, the nickname comes or the short name comes. So Bob in
Exactly.
system A,
Exactly. because it will
Robert
be zero.
Witty, yes,
It will
there
be
is
zero
no
and
match
eight.
at all.
Mm-hmm,
Yes.
mm-hmm.
So, and even, like, one name can give you multiple results. Robert
Yeah.
can, yeah. So these are the certain, so you have to actually deep dive into both the systems records at one phase and see the variations, how much of the data, how many names, I mean, what percentage of, kind of datas are varying, what could be the common pattern to, do a search. All these things needs to be manually analyzed first, then, and obviously the combination. So that you said that give the zip code first and all those things, right? So for
Uh-huh.
what fraction of the cases that logic works, you know that
Uh-huh.
giving the zip code followed by the name and then the address, then the name, is it the approach that works for majority of the search? So you have to find out all these analysis, you have to do those background analysis along with your process SME to find out these details, to come to a conclusion. Because you're when that's the challenge when you interact with two different systems who are independently, which are independently managed. Okay. Because that's why I said if the two systems are interlinked. So sometimes what happens is the database is one, but the two systems are different. In that case, you don't even have to interact with the system. Just take the name and send a query to your SQL database at the backend and check if there is a match. That's a different way. But since these two systems are independent of each other, you need to find a middle passive. So that's why you need to do all those researches to come to a conclusion. So those are the validational tasks you need to go through. I will check on the ML part, but if ML is being introduced, you have to first check if you have data available, and second, do you have a resource
A
to
resource.
design and have it implemented. you know because
Mm.
if you design an ML, your entire architecture of the RPA will change. So that means your bot cannot take a name and go and enter it into a system B, that and get multiple names. That will not happen. So your entire even the ML architecture. So I'm not, because I haven't seen the systems, so I'm not able to give you any idea of how the ML solution can be integrated, to identify right there once you enter the search, in the search in system B, Robert Witty, it has to tell you that this is the doctor. So how the ML has to be plugged in? It's completely a complete technical and a deep dive. You need to understand all the different cases and all the variations of what is the feasibility of introducing an ML. Even if you have a model, how the model outcome can be utilized here, when you are making search between two independent systems.
And the big
Well,
one, also having a resource who can do that, an engineer who can actually do all that.
yeah, if you're
That's
going for
also,
ML, there
that's
are
a
a lot
big.
of things. You need
Mm,
an ML resource. You need ML resource. You need amount of data, and also your ML solution needs to be integrated with your RPA solution. So in that case, your how your model ML model solution has to come in between your RPA, that needs to be decided. So that architecture has to completely design. So that means once your robot takes a name, it has to first send it to the ML model, and send it to the ML model and ask the model to predict what are the different options that can happen. Those predictions and needs to be given into the system B. So I mean, there are a lot of things you have to, unless you see the process, it's very tough to say how the application is working, how the process systems are, how the systems are managed. But having the ML thing aside, first do those validations, try to find out if there is any major pattern, what
yeah.
pattern is working fast, or what pattern is working for majority of the search. Do some research R&D on that piece, the combination of
Mm.
which way, if the logic can be developed. You have to work with the SME and try to do a ground research of finding a common pattern or a passive. If not, then you have to look for alternatives. Yes.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Or else one best thing can be done is, if they give you access to, if you can take all the records of from the backend of system B and system A and create a intermediate system of all, by matching everything, then your job will become much more easier.
And that intermediate system could it even
That
be some
intermediate
An Excel form, an
could be
Excel
could be
database?
yes, could be an Excel, could be a SQL, where you will be, it will be a one time activity for you to map all the customer information, you know so if you do that and keep it ready, kind of a configuration sheet, even if it is an Excel. Or so what you can do is, if let's say if you have two different sheets, you do a VLOOKUP in Excel and kind of see what are the common values, right? For
Okay.
example, so something like that. But you have to see, but then you have to manually map values like Robert in system A is Bob in system B. Those
So,
are the
the issue will be, I think that's a brilliant idea, but the issue
Mhm.
will be when you encounter something new. So maybe we start off with a list. We have all the names that we can think
Yes,
of. Huh?
start off with the list. So
Uh-huh.
every, so might be let's say, yes, so your question is correct. So because there might be new addition to the backend database of, right?
Yeah.
Yes, so what you have to do is, yes, you have to do the backend phenomenon would be somewhat. So every week, so you have to ask what's the frequency of customers getting added. So if it is, let's say, very frequently new customers get added, so let's say you should, put something that every 2 days or 3 days, those system A database and system B database should be updated.
Be updated.
Yep,
Yeah.
something like that. So you might, in that case, you might have a, better would be to have a SQL table where
Mm-hmm.
you will, connect, or kind of, I'm not sure in terms of accessibility how you will get the system A data and system B data, but yes, that's the most easiest way I can think of. If you can, it might be a one time hardship, to get the data, but yes, if you take a list and see if this is working, do a kind of, do a POC kind of a thing and show it to the client, and then if they find it benefited, then probably you can ask them to, do some, on the accessibility part, and getting, building up a process where, two database, both the database A and database B gets updated, the intermediate system or the Excel that you're creating, somehow, it needs to be updated at a specific time interval and things like that. So there are ways, but you just need to see which one is aligning with your business requirement, which one is
Mm-hmm.
suiting your organization goal, and all those things. Let's say you don't have the ML capability, so there's no point of researching and wasting time,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Rather, you if you focus on deriving, creating this solution with an intermediate, system or Excel or whatever format, where you have the mapped data, it will become much more easier for you.
All right.
Because see, these are all the challenges, because since it's a little uh, unstructured way, two different. I'll also do a research. I'll
Mhm.
Let's see if I can come up with some better ideas to tell you.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so probably I'll check this, and I'll, if I find something effective, I'll
Yeah,
probably
let
keep
me
you
know.
updated.
Yeah, maybe there's even a website where the bot can be, checking a lot of short names. Who knows?
Yeah, but the challenges will still remain, unless and until you uh, remove this access stability. Or let's say what you have to do is, uh, whatever one by one name you find in system A, you have to
Mhm.
create a log file. So let's say the
Yes.
bot took
Uh-huh.
20 names from system A, but it
Uh-huh.
found only matches for 10. Remaining 10 where, can be anything, where it
Uh-huh.
found Bob, but Bob was not there, or it found Bob, but too many Bobs it found, so it could not find any,
One-to-one match.
validation match. So it failed, or it kind of gets added to the backlog file. That file can be emailed back. The RPA bot can also, you can put decision parameters in the log file, that with various scenarios, that why it did not execute that specific name. So let's say Bob, it searched in system B, did not find. So it will go and write in the log file, no value found. Like this, it can also prepare a list of unmatched names, and at the end of the execution, it can trigger an email or a notification to the SME or the business to look into those, as a manual activity, because it could not process. So that is
Yeah,
also one of the possible way you can do it.
yeah. And maybe
But
that
it's all, yes,
human,
but
when they take a look at it and they see, there's need maybe to update the database, they can
yeah,
do
so
that
in
manually.
that case, yes. So even though, so in that case, the best solution would be if you can maintain an one-time activity, if you can design an intermediate file with
Mm-hmm.
all the customer matching in A and B,
Mm-hmm.
then after every run, what even the bot does not find any match, it goes to a human, he or she validates it, they can add the new validated data into the master data sheet,
Correct.
so
Yeah.
that next time when Bob bot finds that patient, it does not add that entry into the log,
Mm-hmm.
it refers the, so it can be two ways, so
Mm-hmm.
if you take name and you find a direct single entry, it's a single match from A to B, it does not look into the Excel file, it
Yep.
goes and straight away process. The moment it finds more than one match, it goes and refers to the Excel file and see the possible combinations and then decide.
Yep. If it
Yeah,
finds,
so
well, good. If it
yeah,
doesn't find,
yes,
sends a report to
yes. So
a
if
human.
first time, let's say it went to the system B, it found multiple entries, it went to the master data sheet, there also it did not find anything, to take the decision, it goes and makes that customer name entered in the log file and put a comment, no validation criteria satisfied. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
now this, let's say this happened for five specific different names, this file gets emailed to SME or the business, they opens it, they sees it, and they do a manual validation, and these five names, whatever solution they bring, you have to do a mechanism that, if it's a database, they go and upload it to the database to update, or if it's an Excel maintained by somebody, he or she goes and adds these five customers into the
Mm-hmm.
database, so that next time this scenario appears, the bot finds a match, so
Yep.
it could be a continuous process, and the more you enrich your database, the lesser it has to refer. I mean,
Keep on refer
so what,
to.
yeah, so see, all processes cannot be 100% automated right at the first time.
Yeah.
Okay, we have also done projects where, for some unstructured data, we build up the database. So every time the bot process and creates a log, for first 2-3 months the number of log files will be huge, because the moment it does not find a match, it
Mm-hmm.
will enter into the log file. But the more, with respect to time and execution, the more you enrich your database or the master data sheet with respect to time, let's say 2-3 months, whatever the data the bot could not process, you took the log file and you added it to the data sheet. Next time for that entry, the bot will not send you an email, correct?
Yeah.
So it's a progressive, yes, it's a progressive output. So the more you enrich your data master data sheet, the less the bot enters the record into a log file.
Into
So
a log
after a
file. Yeah.
certain point, let's say 5 months, 4 months down the line, you come to a position where you will reach the threshold that with respect to the current customer database, all your matches are available in the datasheet. So the bot is not at all having any record in the log file. It is able to process, and your log file manual validation is completely gone, unless and until there are rapid entries of customers into the system.
Yeah. But it
So
sounds,
you would,
like that updating of the, what did you call it? The
the master
the
data sheet kind of.
yeah, the master data sheet sounds like it mostly has to be done manually. I don't think there's a.
See, it can be done manually. You have to find a way. If it is a SQL table, then you have to don't do it manually. You have to kind of, there are ways of running some queries and get the new data added back to the SQL.
Okay.
So there are multiple ways.
Fair enough. I think we can work with that. Thank you. I appreciate your insights.
Yeah. So do
Yeah.
those due diligence what I've told you.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So you will not find a straightforward solution to it, honestly, Sam.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah,
So
yeah.
you have to kind of dig deep, right? So you have to see. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can talk.
Oh, sorry. I just saw that. I felt that I muted myself. Yeah.
No, no,
So
I can
you
hear.
have to, yeah. So here in those cases, whatever solution you are trying to define, ensure you are in lining with the business or the operations team, because they has to agree to what you are logically defining. Correct? Because
Yep.
that solution has to bring business value for them. So now let's say they agree to this data sheet concept and they find it a good idea. It's possible for them to maintain. They can keep a person who can enrich the data sheet at a time
The data.
basis.
Uh-huh.
Your solution becomes, you can take that approach. But let's say they say, oh no, we cannot do this. It will be very tough. We cannot keep a resource to keep updating a data sheet and all those things. Then your that option go. So try best. So talk to your solution. Do you have any developers or technical people as well in the team?
Yeah, yeah. We have developers. Yeah.
Oh yeah, talk to them
Uh,
and try to find some 2-3 approaches.
uh,
Then go and give the business that, okay, based on this whatever use case you have shared with us, these are the 3-4 possible solutions that we could think of, and we would need your inputs, or your insights, which one would best suit the business need. So then you go ahead and explain them all the possible ways. Let them choose, because they are the ones who can tell you how much it is feasible. They can get the data. They can give you somebody, or the other way where that master data sheet can be maintained and all these things. You have to tell them that, see, it cannot be a straightforward automation, because we are dealing with two independent systems. So either we have to create an intermediary system or a data file to which will act as a bridge between system A and system B. Or if you are able to do some advanced technology with ML based and all those things, you have the capability, you have the resource, blah blah blah, you can go ahead with that. So or if you so you have to come up with few alternatives one by one, whichever the business selects, give them that, go ahead with that specific approach. And you know kind of. So have you got a chance to see how many transaction happens in a day, like how many entries that they get?
mm. Yeah, I think I should be having that somewhere.
Because you have to do a volumetric analysis as well here. So these are
Yep.
the certain things you have to see, and also go
Uh-huh.
with the volume, do a volumetric analysis as well. So
Okay.
how many customer records are coming in a day?
In a day.
If
Yeah.
they are yes, if let's say it is the number of records are 100, 200, then you have
Uh-huh.
to do a manual as time effort estimation also, right?
Uh-huh.
That how much time they are taking it to do manually, and how much time the bot would be taking once you do an UAT or the bot is developed. So all these manual assessment you need to kind of complete. So look into the volumetric approach as well, I mean the volume approach as well. And those, try all these things which you have discussed, and let me know which one. I'll think of if I can find any other better approach.
Walk around.
Probably if
Oh,
I
okay.
walk around, I'll let you know, so
All right.
that yeah, yeah. Okay.
All right. And at the same time, I'll also, like per your suggestion, and maybe also run it through one of the internal guys there, maybe one of the developers, and also see what,
Yep.
maybe they could be
Yeah.
preview
now
to
now
some.
now you have 2-3 different approaches that I have told you, right? So now you can
Yes.
talk to them and decide which are the feasibility, which are the ones that is feasible for you to move ahead, and then kind of progress accordingly, and
Correct.
get a consent from the business as well, right?
Correct.
Yep. Right then, thank you. We'll catch up then. I'll let you know
Okay. All
if
right.
I find something. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate your time, and have a good night and nice weekend.
Yep. No problem. Same to you there.
Oh, all right. Thanks.